Welcome back, everybody. Joe of Fanatic Sports back again, and I am bringing you something special for the channel today as we have special guest, senior personnel executive of the New England Patriots, Alonzo Highsmith, joining the show today. Alonzo, how are we doing today?
Doing fine, thank you. How you guys doing?
Doing well. You know, just got back from the gym, can't complain. So I just want to get right into it, all right? So the first question I have for you is that you were involved in the interview process for Mike Vrabel. What was something about Mike Vrabel that stood out to you during the process that made the Patriots realize that he's their guy?
What's interesting is I knew a lot about Coach Vrabel before I got to New England. I knew him as a player. I knew him as just an acquaintances from people I know, people who have been around him, and I've always been impressed with him as an individual. And, the interview process was easy because Mike Vrabel's just Mike Vrabel. He is who he is. And, the leadership qualities stand out from day one. And, that was the most exciting part about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. From what we saw in Tennessee, he's a great players coach. People loved him. They loved playing for him. He'd get involved in the drills and all that. One of my favorite clips from this offseason so far was Brendan Schooler bringing him back into the team huddle during that one practice just to really break it down and have that leader there with them.
Well, yeah, no doubt. He exudes confidence. It's been a pleasure to be around him this offseason and working with him through the draft. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and he's a hard worker. I think probably the most impressive thing about Coach Vrabel and the staff is the enjoyment they bring to football and their work ethic. I've really enjoyed being a whole process.
Now, one thing I want to ask about the personnel staff and the coaches, how much contact do you have with Vrabel or the rest of the coaching staff on a day-to-day basis, as far as getting feedback on free agency, the draft, and that, all that sort of stuff?
It's a great communication. I think Coach Vrabel and Elliott Wolf work well together. Ryan Cowden and Stretch, the head coach's right-hand man. I think everybody works well together, and it's very collaborative. We're in constant communication always, and no different than any other organization around the league.
Yeah.
We all work together.
Yeah, no, I love that. So another question I have is that you spent some time as the general manager of your alma mater, Miami, and you guys played against Drake Maye in the ACC. What did he show to you, Elliott Wolf, and the rest of the front office and personnel staff that made you guys grade him well enough to take him third overall in 2024?
Well, the interesting thing about Drake Maye was the fact that I had seen him twice in college live, stood next to him and watched him play live. So that was pretty interesting. The one thing I thought that was interesting about Drake Maye was his demeanor never changed. I thought we knocked the crap out of him in a couple games, and seemed like every time we really got to him, he made big plays the next play.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing about Drake Maye is quality of person, good leader. He's learning to become a leader. He's a young guy. He was only 21, 22 years old, and I think his future's bright because of the fact that he works hard and he's a smart kid.
Yeah. No, it was funny to me because I've talked very highly on Drake on my channel, and I looked up his birthday, and he's 4 months younger than me, and that kind of was just whoa, that's crazy to me, how young these guys are that are getting drafted and are expected to put the franchise on their back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting Drake Maye to put this franchise on his back. It's always going to be a collaborative effort amongst teammates. Everyone's got to play a part, and even though he's a quarterback, the quarterback position is a very high-profile position, and it requires a lot of things. I think everyone's going to do their part to help Drake Maye.
Yeah, no, that's my fault on the wording there. I just meant because it is such a high profile position, and then like the media tries to push that sort of narrative that like that's how the media wants them to think of these young quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's it's the toughest position of all sports, the most demanding position of all sports, the quarterback position, and it comes with a lot of praise and it comes with a lot of criticism. So, I think most quarterbacks understand the spotlight, and I don't think it's going to be too big a problem for Drake May. I said, he's a young guy still developing, and it's our job, everyone's job, teammates, everybody around him to help the quarterback.
Yeah, and going off of that, you played and worked with some great quarterbacks in your time in the NFL and in other roles with other organizations. What are some attributes or things that he does that maybe remind you of some of the guys that you either played or worked with, or something that does that supersedes those quarterbacks?
Well, I'm not into comparisons because every individual is different circumstances and that kind of stuff. But I will say that he compares to a lot of people like, Vinny Testaverde's size. He's athletic. I think he's very bright. I think he's very tough. And he's more of a more modern Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde was a big 6'4", 6'5", pocket, strong-arm quarterback. Well, Drake's got some of those qualities. He throws a nice ball. He throws a catchable ball. He's got good ball placement. So he does a lot of good things. So I would probably say there's a little piece of him in a lot of quarterbacks I've been around.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of young guys, the NFL draft just happened a couple months ago, and it is, in my opinion, we had the best draft in the league and a great offseason overall. And I want to ask, what was the number one thing that the front office was looking for in this draft class? And in my eyes, it kind of seems like the Patriots went for power and explosiveness with guys like Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, both athletic freaks that have a lot of power on the offensive line. Trevion Henderson and Kyle Williams making explosive plays downfield, or with Trevion, being an elite pass blocker out of the backfield. Even guys like Braden Swinson, who showed a lot of explosiveness coming off the edge. Joshua Farmer was great on the inside. And that's just to name a few. So obviously we got, like Craig Woodson, Marcus Bryant, and everyone else. But what was the number one thing you guys were looking for?
I would probably say the number one thing we're looking for is quality of people. Athleticism is great. It's great to have all those sorts of things, but it takes the right type of people to make it all work.
Yeah.
And I would probably say the biggest thing in this draft was the quality of people. The athleticism, the traits, where a guy's drafted in the first, second, third round, the expectations that come. But more than anything, I think we were looking for the right type of people that Mike Vrabel wanted in his program. And that was the biggest determining factor in what we wanted.
Yeah, no, I mean, that actually, I was going to ask what was like the biggest like non-football trait. And I love that because like, you don't just want to get a guy just because he's some great player in college. You want to look at guys who will bring leadership to Foxborough, like a David Andrews, for example, with the strikes for Tykes and things like that off the field, and just be great people.
Yeah, I think the standards are high in New England, and it starts with the Kraft family.
Yeah.
And from the past, the Mike Vrabels, the Seymours, the Vince Wilforks, the Tom Brady's, those guys are the standards at New England. And I think you always want to try and find those people that match those standards of quality of person, work ethic, teammate, all those things that embody becoming a good team. And I just believe that was the most important factor.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you because you just want to look for that quality character. But speaking of the offseason, we put a lot of money into players this year. What do you think the biggest, maybe not position improvement, but potentially whether it's position or side of the ball or schematic improvement that we made this offseason?
Well, I think it's all there in the, on paper, it's there. We signed Milton Williams, Jason, Harold, and all these people. So, I think there's an opportunity for us to get better on the defensive line. And again, I'm going to go back to the standards of the organization, quality of people, guys that are leaders, guys that are self-driven. I think that was the main focus throughout the whole offseason, but putting the right type of people that fit what a New England Patriot is. And from Spillane to Carlton Davis to all these people, they fit the mold of what Coach Vrabel is trying to build in this organization. And it's always going to start with the people, from Milton Williams to Harold Landry. It's going to start with the people first.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I specifically love the Robert Spillane signing because he just fits what so many previous New England linebackers were. Just like a hard-nosed guy who knows how to captain the defense at the linebacker position, help out everyone else in the front seven and the secondary, and really is just like someone who can dominate in the run game as a linebacker. That was one person I really liked. But you're always looking for that type of person who can come in and change the team, not only on the field, but off. And I love that. That sort of thing that always fits the Kraft way and always has been the Kraft way. And to get a little bit off of the Patriots specifically right now, but also kind of still there, you guys hired your son earlier this offseason, AJ, from the Titans. What is something that he brings to the table that makes him so valuable to the scouting team? And what's it like working with your son in general?
You know what? This is his 12th year in the business. He's been in the business for a long time. And, I've always stayed away from working with my son because you know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah.
And, but he's proven to be good in the business. He's a good person. He's a hard worker. He's smart. I think he'll be a good addition to our organization, just like Ryden Cowden was. Like the new quality of the personnel assistant guys we've hired. We've hired a good group of people. And I sound redundant in saying this. And, everything we do it's gonna be about the people.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play for us, it's gonna start with you as an individual and who you are, what you represent, and what you bring to the New England Patriots organization. Since being around Mike Vrabel, since I've been in this organization with him, it's been about enthusiasm, work ethic, people. So that's, I'm always going to go back to that. I don't think that's rocket scientist or anything like that, but it's going to be about people. Yeah, no,
sorry, some of that was kind of broken up. Maybe it was my end or something, but it was just a little laggy there. But I got the, I get what you were saying there for the most part. But I want to ask you, what was that?
I was going to say you were asking about, working with son.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I remember taking him to pro days with me when he was a young kid and watch him play high school football, then college football, and then he went on his own path and fell. And now we're together, and it's eye-opening seeing your son every morning at work.
Yeah,
which is something I had never dreamed of or anything like that. And, but he's moving himself to be qualified, and he's the most quality of people we want to bring to the organization. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely like probably a weird feeling at first, like you said, like when you're working with your son after, bringing him to like the pro days with you and things of that nature. But one thing I want to ask is going back to your playing days, right? you were mostly, like a fullback, running back then. I want to ask you, what changes in the NFL have happened that have caused the fullback position to almost die this as we get closer and closer and become more of a passing league?
Well, I just think it's the evolution of the passing game. A lot of teams are, just one back, 4 wide receivers, or 3 tight ends, one back, and the game has evolved so much, and there's so much swing in the game, and in college football, it's all about how many plays you can get in the game, and it's hard to get 90 plays in a game with a fullback in the game, it's a different era with the fullback when you had 2 backs and tight end, 2 receivers, and it was just a different game. Now it's a wide open, fast pace, get the ball out of your hands quick, 1 back, no backs, all that kind of stuff. So the game is changing. I believe you'll see the game back with the fullback. Teams going back. Looks like teams on the ball more in full offensive line with balls. I think everything comes back. It's like bell-bottom jeans. Everything comes back around again, and I think you'll see some. I think you'll see more fullbacks in the future.
Yeah, and actually, something I want to ask is, so Josh McDaniels in his past has loved like heavy personnel in there, like whether it's 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, like James Devlin or whoever else back there behind in front of like LeGarrette Blount, Shane Vereen, or anybody. What I've always wondered, like how like McDaniels, for example, is going to more or less adjust, because even with Mac Jones, he had the fullback, and I love McDaniels. I think he'll do a great job with Maye and all of that. But like, it's just crazy to me that like it is a position that is falling off a little bit, and our offense coordinator, who is very good at his job as an offense coordinator and has helped us win multiple Super Bowls, I want to see how he adjusts to this NFL where he doesn't have the James Devlins, and he has with the Raiders. He did a good job with the Raiders offense, but I don't know. It's just something I'm interested in seeing. I have a lot of faith in him. It's just something I'm interested in seeing given his past as an offensive coordinator.
You know what? All I can say is this season's going to be full of, and I'm sure he'll use a plethora of different formations and all those things he does. And I've been excited about seeing Josh McDaniels every day in the building and watching him work with the offensive players. That's been very exciting. And I really like the guy again. I like his presence. I like seeing him in the building every day. He brings a world of knowledge. He's been in every situation. He's been with Tom Brady. He's won Super Bowls. So, anything he does brings value. And so I'm looking forward to seeing him work.
Yeah. And no, I trust me, I am too. I think he'll do great things for Maye, Ramondre, and Trevion, and everybody else. I think the run game will be electric this year, especially with the improvements at offensive line. And speaking of like improvements, OTAs and minicamps just ended a couple weeks ago. Based off of those, is there a prospect from this year, either drafted or undrafted, that everyone in the building is talking about going into July training camp? And I have a feeling I know who you're going to say someone.
I will say this, and I don't want you. I mean, you're going to think I'm sounding, I don't know, but this offseason, I was impressed with everyone as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some guys that stood out and caught passes or made plays on the ball on the defensive side of the ball. But I was more impressed with everyone's attitudes and their enthusiasm and their work ethic. I think I think it doesn't start with names. You know what I mean? There's always be names, and you team sign this free agent, that free agent, but it all boils down to the people, their enthusiasm, their work ethic, their camaraderie, um, steps of the team work together every day. So I can't pick out an individual, but I can say as a team, I was excited to see everybody bonding and working together.
Yeah. No. That's great too, especially
you want a name.
No, I don't. Hey, I don't need a name. I don't need a name. I don't need a name.
I can't tell you all the Patriots secrets, okay?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. My bad, man. I'm not trying to overstep. All right. All right. But speaking of that, like I love that you said like you loved how hard everyone was working because there's so many new faces coming into the franchise this year, as we've already talked about. And speaking of that, besides like character traits, how much detail goes into players that you guys look at in free agency or the draft? Like, what exactly are you looking for in each position? Because a lot of times teams have certain boxes they want, whether they'll do a check whether he's a running back, have a certain speed or height or weight, break this amount of tackles, or have this amount of receiving yards, and just or like an offensive lineman, whether it's how fast can they get their hands up and how many pressures they allow or whatever. But what is something that you guys look for outside of like the quality of human being that they are that maybe other teams might not have as number one, but you guys have very high up on your list?
Well, I think the traits of the good football teams are similar to everyone in the league. We're looking for big, strong, fast plays on the ball that are football players. So, it's rocket, rocket science. We're all looking for the same thing. We want the biggest, the fastest. We want guys that can get to the point. When you say what you're looking for, everyone in the league is looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of identifying maybe this guy fits this team, maybe it doesn't fit this team. And there'll be some players that nobody talked about last year, like Bond at the Philadelphia Eagles last year, linebacker who was at New Orleans Saints for 4 years. Nobody knew. All of a sudden he's an all-pro linebacker. Those things are going to happen, and you hopefully happens for you on your team with some. Who's going to be at this point? Nobody knows until the pads come on. Yeah, everyone's pretty happy with their draft. Everybody with the free signings they have, and I've been in this game long enough. I've seen every situation have to play out, and this way to play out is everybody working hard.
So going off of that question I asked about like what we look for in players in free agency, this is something that maybe frustrated fans want to know, as throughout our time, at least through my lifetime, we have not been the best at drafting receivers. And that's nothing against anybody in the organization, but it's just how it's been, especially drafting them high. What is something that this regime with Vrabel, you, Wolf, and everybody else is doing differently to scout these receivers compared to the past? Or what is something that you guys are doing to make sure that we hit on those highly drafted guys? Like, for example, last year, Jalen Polk, or this year, Kyle Williams, and also last year, Javon Baker.
Man, that's, you know what? That's a tough question because that position historically in the NFL has been a hard position to draft.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a lot of hit and misses by Super Bowl winning teams. I thought we had a pretty good receiving core in Green Bay, and we missed on some receivers. And, I can't give you all the answers why some kids make it, some kids don't, because, we're all looking for guys that are fast. We're all looking for guys that can catch the football. And if you look throughout the NFL, when you're watching, I've heard reporters say this guy's a can't miss receiver or this guy's this or that, and they get to an NFL and then things don't work out for the player.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're doing anything different than any other team, or the other teams are doing anything different than we do. It's tough. I don't think anyone could have predicted the success of some receivers, and I don't think anybody could have predicted the lack of success by other receivers.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of contributing factors that go to success in life, success on the football field. And, it's just some things we can't account for injuries. We can't account for quarterback situations sometimes. There's so many contributing factors that's a hard question that I really can't answer because I don't know. Because if I told you this kid was 6'3", 210 pounds, 42-inch vertical, and had 70 receptions for 1,400 yards, I'm pretty sure you would say we should take him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then he comes to your league and he's dropping the ball. You didn't see him drop the ball in college or he gets hurt, hamstring injuries, all those sorts of things. I think everyone in the league doesn't put enough information there. Things for we don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, trust me, that is a hard question to answer because, like you said, everyone's trying to get the same type of guys or look for the same thing in these guys that it makes it impossible to really change one thing about your philosophy and go with it and make sure that that's the solution to maybe the troubles that we have had in the past 20-ish years.
Yeah, you check boxes. Did he make plays on the football field? Yeah. Was he fast? Did he have great size? Did he have good hands? And you click all those boxes, and sometimes you still wonder why it didn't work.
Yeah. One thing that sorry. You can finish your thought right there.
No, those are the things that confound us in pro football. They confound us in life. Why some people are successful and some people aren't successful. It all comes down to good fortunes, work ethic, right attitude. All those sorts of things. Right place to right time in life. Right quarterback. Right offensive coordinators. There's so many factors that I can't. I really can't point my finger to one thing other than he had all the physical traits. He's a good person. He worked hard. If it didn't work out, I don't know why. Yeah.
No, so I mean, it really is tough to really find the right pieces in that scenario because it might look good on the tape and then just falls off like you're saying. Now, one thing I am not qualified at all. I'm just a kid making videos. But one thing I love is, I grew up in the Patriots era where we had the Welkers, the Amendolas, the Edelmans. I love the small slot guys who can run routes. That's just always how I've been. It's one thing when I'm watching college, I'm looking for the good route runners, the guys who create separation in the middle of the field and can be an easy target for quarterbacks. It's this year, I loved Xavier Restrepo. Now, unluckily, he went undrafted, but, went back to his best friend, Cam Ward, who, they played together at UMiami, of course. I mean, I thought that was wicked cool, but I've just grown up with those types of receivers. I love those types of receivers. That picture right there is Edelman. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just something I always look for, but that's more or less me being a fan, but also trying to study the game of the slot receiver. I don't know. Something I just want to bring up.
No, it's those guys were great players. I've scouted all those. I remember Edelman coming out of college. John Schneider loved him. I loved Wes Welker when he was coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
It's a when you get a young guy when you get those type of guys that are quick, strong, smart, instinctive, and you connect them with a great quarterback. I mean, they're hard to stop, and they're very productive players in the NFL.
Oh yeah. I mean, hardworking guys too. Like Edelman, had to completely change positions. Like that's not easy to do. Quarterback at Kent State, dual threat guy over there, and then has to become a slot receiver for Tom Brady. And we've all heard his stories, whether it's on his podcast or on like NFL films about that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I love those types of guys. And
Edelman, Edelman was one of my, watching play, being someone who watched the Patriots for a long time, and when I was at Green Bay, I thought we might have played the Patriots in a couple Super Bowls, but it didn't work out.
Yeah,
I've always been a big fan of Edelman, and his. I thought he just exemplified everything. He was tough, he was physical, and he was a gamer. The bigger the game was, the bigger he played. And,
oh yeah,
that's what I always appreciated about him. And then really getting an opportunity to meet him since I've been with the New England Patriots has been a lot of fun. I will say one of the things that's been fun working for the Patriots is you watch these guys for so long, they dominated football for so long.
yeah,
And understanding what made this organization what it was. And it was people like Vince Wilfork and Seymour. I've met all these guys, Matthew Slaters, the Hightowers, the Mayos, of course, Mike Vrabel and Rodney Harrison, and meeting Gronkowski and meeting all these guys. I understood why they dominated pro football.
Yeah.
The way they did. I don't know if it was lightning in a bottle, as they say, but it seemed like they had 40 guys who were the same attitude, same people. The game was important to them. They were totally dedicated to their crafts and to the game. So just meeting those guys has been really fun so far. Working for the England Patriot, and those are the standards.
Yeah,
I know the Kraft wants to win, and it's highly important for him to win. And the standards of the New England Patriots are winning, and that's what we have to get to.
Yeah. And I want to bring something up. You brought up Matthew Slater, all right, and you brought up the standards and everything about the Patriots. Something about Matthew Slater that is very well known, just how good of a human being that guy is, whether it's with charities and foundations or just helping the Foxborough community as a whole. Who is somebody, veteran or young guy, that might be able to take on that Matthew Slater role in Foxborough of just helping the community? Because we just saw David Andrews get released and retire. And I made a whole part one of like a mini docu-series I'm doing called A True Patriot, where I go over what they do off the field that makes them a true Patriot. Who could be the next Slater and Andrews in that way?
Man, I mean, I don't know, because those guys played in Super Bowls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they won a lot of games. And I would probably say before you could attach someone's name to those guys, they got to win first.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? So,
no, 100%.
Like it's sort of like I can't anoint you without you doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matthew Slater, it's really unfair to say somebody's Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater played 17. I think he just retired last year.
Yeah.
He's going to be Patriot Hall of Famer. Maybe they're going to do a special teams Hall of Famer. I mean, to say this guy's going to be the next Matthew Slater, that's, and I don't know if he had 4 Super Bowls or 5 Super Bowls, Slater.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want to put Matthew Slater's name next to a really good player. You know what I mean? I mean, because the guy accomplished too much in pro football. So to say who's going to be that team, I think that's something you'd have to say down the road. Wait and see. We won some games. That's a tall order, Matthew Slater.
let me reword that then, just so because I care about like what players do for the community. Who is
Yeah.
someone that is really going out of their way to make sure they get a hand in helping the New England community, whether it's Foxborough, Massachusetts, even like any of the states that are surrounding, like the Patriots fans, like they're going out of the way to help them, whether it's with like I brought up earlier, the strikes for tykes or like YMCA's and things like that.
You know what? Honestly, I haven't been at the New England Patriots long enough. I came here
Yeah.
last
Okay.
year, so I've only been here a full, it was my second draft,
Mhm.
and a lot of former players are not here anymore. There's only a
Yeah.
handful of players left. So, but I will say this: I think you know I think we've done a good job at our organization in being involved in the community, and Coach Mike Vrabel, he stresses that to our team about the community, helping others, getting involved in your community. So since I've been with the Patriots, I've seen a big contingency of players reaching out to the community, being involved. Coach Vrabel always asks our players, if you're doing an event, let us know so we can come support you.
Yeah.
And I think it all starts at the top. It's important to Mike Vrabel that this team is in the community, involved with the community. And I think our players feed off of that and want to give back to the community.
Yeah. No, I mean, I trust me, I love it. It's something I love to look forward to because at my university, I went to University of Massachusetts, Boston. Part of our mission statement was like finding like equitable and innovative ways to like help out like the world. And so it's something I look forward to like learning about from pro athletes and people who have been in the league.
Yeah,
But
I will say this: I since I've been with New England, I mean, I've seen our players really reaching out to do a lot of
yeah,
things in the community. And it is an important thing to the Kraft family. It's an important thing to the head coach. It's an important thing, just the embodiment of the organization, being involved in the community and representing the New England Patriots always and
yeah,
everything we do.
yeah. No, I mean, it truly is great to see like all these guys. Like we also, although he went to the Commanders, Jonathan Jones was someone who was always up for the Walpain Man of the Year award and things of that nature. But I want to take a more lax tone now. What's the day to day like for someone in the personnel department? This is for like the people who maybe want to try and get that job at some point. Now, this is more regarding to traveling to schools or talking to free agents, how much film you guys have to watch and things like that.
Well, there's different varying degrees of job titles and what you do.
Hmm.
I've been a road scout. I've been on the road. This is my 26th year, 27 years, whatever it
Yeah.
is. I've been on the road all those years. I've always done college scouting. As I evolved into pro football in the organization, I've moved up and contributed more to pro, college, a little bit of everything within the organization. And, you know, I think when you're building an organization, it's always going to be a collaborative effort. It's always going to be a great deal of respect and people enjoying each other. And this, like I said, this is only my going on to my second season in New England, and there's been a lot of changes. A lot of things have changed, but I really can say this: being in Green Bay for 19 years and working with John Schneider, working with John Dorsey, I really enjoy coming to work.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the people. Um, I'm having a, I'm having a really good time with the people I work with, and I
Yeah.
think that culture we're trying to build in that we enjoy it. Um, People like each other. Everyone's important to the organization. Everybody wants to contribute, and that's only those are the only type of environments I've ever grown up in this business.
Hmm.
Um, for 19 years in Green Bay, we did things a certain way, and the first way was always respect. doing your job in great enthusiasm, and it's important to you. So, working with Nancy Meyer has been awesome. She's been at the Patriots for 50 years, and I've really never met anybody who worked somewhere for 50 years in my life, in any endeavor, even
Yeah.
football, out of football,
Yeah.
and realize she's been there that long. She has seen so much, of the Patriot way, how to do things, all the championships, all those things. She's one of the more fascinating people to me in life I've met because she's been there so long and won so much. I don't know anyone who has 6 Super Bowl championships. I know a coach in college, 5 national championships from one team, and I always thought he was interesting. And then I meet Nancy Meyer, and she's been there 50 years, and it's really fascinating to work with people like that. You learn a lot, you listen, and they tell you things. You're like, man, I didn't realize that. So I have a great deal of respect for. I've always had a great deal of respect for the people I work with.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in the kitchen, custodians, or the weight room, or community people, I've always had a great deal of respect for them and their jobs and what they do. And everything we do, is for one purpose. We're only here for one purpose. That's for these players and coaches. And our job to try and make their jobs better. And it's important that we build the type of relationship in our organization that reflects everything we do in order for us to take it to the next step.
Yeah. Now, I loved everything about that. I love how like you bring up the culture and how you've always had to like you feel this not necessarily this need, but like this desire to respect everybody around you, whether it's the people in the weight room or the custodians or your waiter at times or but it's just something great within every organization that every employee should look for, whether it's football or not. It's just a sign of respect that really brings the culture of everybody around you together. I don't think there's any better way to like any better way to wrap this up, because after that, I don't think I have another question for you. That was a perfect answer, and I think really encapsulates everything that this interview has been about. It's just the people around you, the people that you want to bring into where you are and where you want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The life's about a lot of things. There's a lot
Hmm.
of things can't control, but some of the things that we can control to make life easier, and it's just respect
Yeah.
and communication, um, valuing of people, empathy, all those sorts of things. If you can bring that to work every day, I think you'll be better people. You'll have a better organization, and you'll enjoy life more, and you'll
Yeah.
have fun. I really enjoy going to work. I love football. My problem is I can laugh and joke all day, but I'm very serious what I
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and there's a time and place for everything in life.
Hmm.
But you have to enjoy yourself. You have to have great passion in what you do, and you have to realize that what you're doing is important. And it's all about one thing, and that's getting to the top. That's all about making the New England Patriots the best pro football team in the NFL. And that's
Yeah.
what this is. I don't think we get in this business for anything other than trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When we get there, how we get there, I can't tell you. But that's the goal. That's where we want to be. And it starts with individuals. It starts with our attitudes. It starts with us, you know, understanding that the most important thing is the organization, is these players and
Hmm.
coaches. My job, I've looked at my job easy. My job to help these coaches and players. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I wouldn't call it easy. It took a lot of work to get to where you are and where you have been for years now in the NFL. So I want to congratulate you on that, especially, joining this Patriots organization last year. But Alonzo, genuinely, that is all I can ask you. I think you've answered everything amazing, really given me and Patriots fans some great insight to look forward to watching this interview. I want to thank you sincerely for coming on.
All right, now take care.
Hey, you too, Alonzo.
All right. Stay out of the sun. It's 100 degrees. Drink lots of water. You're a young guy.
Yeah, trust me. I'm staying in today. I already went to the gym. I have no reason to leave now.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Alonzo. See ya.